I'm Miguel UTV here, making a quick video for how to install our Polaris Pro XP4 doors. We're going to have complete teardown assembly, what tools you need, where to purchase them, our website, hdutv.net, or from our Instagram, hd_utv. Thank you guys for watching. Take a look. Alright guys, I have all the tools laid out that you'll need to get this job done. Start with, I use two 13mm wrenches, two 14mm wrenches, two 11mm wrenches, a 3/8 drive ratchet, a 4mm Allen, a 13 and 14mm socket, 11mm socket, 8mm socket, a T40, and a T27. That should be everything you need to get this complete job done, from taking the doors off to putting the brand new doors on. All right, we're gonna lay out the hardware for you guys so you should see where everything goes and the quantities of each. Okay, so we're gonna start here with the brackets. I kind of laid them out in representation to how they would be oriented on the car. This being the driver's side, this being the passenger side. The lower brackets would be these. They go on the lower door mount, pointing to the back with the tab up, recessed down. So not like this up, like this, with it drop down like that. Okay, that's going to be all four in that orientation on the car. This is going to be the Heims and mounting hardware for the Heim. So this Heim, each one is going to go through a door on an upper and lower side for each door. The Heims have adjuster nuts. This is how you're going to get your adjustment out of your door, forwards and backwards, etc. So everything lines up perfectly. And these larger 2-inch bolts, they're going to go through the Heims, holding them in place to the brackets, like so. They each come with a nylock nut. And these are gonna go, these are not nylock, these are just loose. I run them all the way to the bottom. Once I put it through the door, I loosely start it so that you have your door floating in here and you can create your final adjustment once everything's mounted. So these, we're gonna have 8 Heims and 8 mounting bolts that are gonna go through there, with 16 of the jam nuts to hold the Heims in place and 8 of the nylocks to hold the 2-inch bolts in place. If we go over to the other side over here, you have several of these with nylock nuts and washers. That's gonna be for your door skins, to hold the actual skin to the door. 26 total bolts with just as many nuts and washers. Here, this is going to be what holds the bracket to the chassis itself, with just as many washers and nylock nuts. So you got 8, and then you got a little bit of extra hardware here if you want to use some on that. I don't personally, because I feel it doesn't protrude through the nylock and nuts. So there you go. Hold the door. You're going to want to take your front seats out. And just loosen the rear seats. If you have aftermarket seats, you can just loosen them. If they're stock seats, they're easy enough to come out, so just take them out. You're going to get a T40. And you gotta remove the upper and lower bolts to remove the door off as an assembly, so you don't have to take it off piece by piece. Alright, so the only part of your factory door you're gonna need is gonna be the latch mechanism. It's a 2-part latch mechanism consisting of the button itself and the latch. Okay, what you're gonna need to remove is gonna be these two. Those are T27s, and these two hold the latch mechanism. Is gonna be an 8mm. You may need to loosen up a few of these T40s just to get enough separation here to slide this out. That should be it. Everything is slotted to give you further adjustment. So when you mount everything up, leave it where it holds it in place, not floating around, but where you can move it if you need to adjust the door into its final position. This is what I was talking about how they come with 2 washers for these shorter bolts to mount the front upper and rear upper tabs to the chassis. Gives you a washer for each side. On the back side here, see how it's not protruding, so it has the possibility of coming loose. So what I do is I only run the 1 washer on the inside to give you a little bit more protrusion. Whereas when I tighten that, it's actually going to protrude through the nylock part, keeping it tight for a longer period of time. So I went ahead and tightened these down so you guys get a visual representation of what I'm talking about again. This has protrusion through the nylock, keeping it tight over a longer period of time. This is also tight, however, it's not protruding, meaning it's not locked in place. You can run both washers, but I would recommend putting Loctite if you do that. That way it doesn't come loose on you. Rest just to snug them down. Again, you don't want them super tight because you are going to have to do final fit and finish at the end. All right, so I went ahead and installed the Heims and the latch mechanism onto the passenger side doors so you guys can get an idea of what this looks like. The Heims go to the center holes here and the only hole on this bottom side. This is going to be the rear door. So see how I left plenty of room for this to float? The door is going to find its happy place when you latch it into place. Once it latches, kind of hanging there loosely, what I do is I finger tighten these to find where it wants to be. If it wants to be more forward, if it wants to be farther back, you can just adjust these accordingly. These larger hex bolts are the ones that go through here, through the mounting brackets that we already attached. So I'm gonna go ahead and hang these doors and then show you guys after. Okay, here's the latch mechanism. So I went ahead and hung this passenger side door so you guys can get a visual on what it looks like and look at how the brackets are mounted, what position the Heims go in from, on top of the lower, below the upper, stuff like that. Everything again could need adjusting at the end as far as on top or on bottom, but the main part we're focusing on right now is what bracket goes where. If you take a visual on that, the bottoms are fairly simple, they go down and back. The uppers are a little more complicated, so just really focus on those right now. Okay, so here is the same thing, but just without the doors hung. But the mounting brackets are all in place. You can get a better idea of what's going on. This is gonna sit right about here. I just wanna have this cinched down for adjustment purposes. All right, guys, I went ahead and put the passenger side door skins on, lined everything up, tightened and adjusted. Everything works pretty well, pretty fluid. You shouldn't have any binding, touching, or clipping at all. If you do, you could just use your adjusters to move the door back and forth and up and down. Everything is oblong and oval, so you have plenty of adjustment in every aspect of this door. Nothing really touches or binds. I still have the driver's side off, so we can get a visual on everything, what everything looks like, tightened. All right, so this is what it looks like, all tightened up. Well, fairly tightened up, but no skins on it. It's just, look, all the jam nuts are seated. Everything is fairly snug, so when you open and close this door, it's not floating around or sliding at all. Again, pretty crisp fluid articulation on everything. That's where you want it to be before you put your skins on. What you're gonna do is you're gonna lay your skins over, put every single skin bolt in by hand before you tighten any of them. The reason being is they have a little bit of free play, and if you tighten it up here, you might not be able to get this bolt in, and vice versa. So we're gonna lay the skins on, put every single bolt in, then we're gonna tighten all of the skin bolts. Once we tighten all the skin bolts, we're gonna open and close and make sure there's no binding, clicking, or anything like that anywhere on the door. If there is, that's when we make minor adjustments to bring our door backwards and forwards or up and down so that that doesn't happen anymore.